Health services are at a complete halt following the announcement of nationwide protest by the doctors. Also in this edition of Kantipur News, we have updates about an air crash in Brazil and the Asia Cup final between Sri Lanka and India. Good morning, I'm Prarambha. Let's begin with the main stories. Nepal Medical Association announces nationwide protest, all health services except emergency service to be halted in government and private health institutions today. Prime Minister Dahal embarks for the US to take part in the UN General Assembly. Premier Dahal to inform the international community about the progress made by Nepal regarding peace process. A plane crash in Brazil's northern Amazon state leaves 14 dead. Investigation into the crash underway. No details about survivors as of yet. And defending champions Sri Lanka take on India in the Asia Cup final today. The match to kick off at 3:15 p.m. Nepal time at the R. Premadasa Stadium in Colombo. Nepal Medical Association has announced a nationwide protest today. Issuing a press release, the association announced of completely halting all health services in government and private health institutions, hospitals, medical colleges, as well as clinics, except the emergency services indefinitely. President of Nepal Medical Association, Dr. Anil Bikram Karki, and General Secretary, Dr. Sanjeev Tiwari, informed that all health services except emergency will be halted across the country today. They have demanded identification and actions against those involved in the assault of two doctors of Sancho Hospital in Hetauda. Doctors have demanded legal action as per the Act related to health professionals and their safety. Health professionals have also demanded allocation of security personnel for all health institutions across the country in order to maintain a fear-free working environment. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal has embarked on the US visit to take part in the 78th General Assembly of the United Nations. The Premier left Nepal on a Qatar Airways flight yesterday evening. Prime Minister Dahal is leading the Nepali delegation to the UN General Assembly in New York, scheduled between 18th and 26th of September. The visiting delegation includes 5 members of the Prime Minister's Secretariat and representatives from the Foreign Ministry. Prime Minister Dahal is scheduled to address the UN General Assembly on the 21st of September, this Thursday. During his stay in New York, the Premier will also meet with US President Joe Biden. Prime Minister Dahal will directly fly to China from New York on the 21st of September to attend the inaugural session of Hangzhou Asian Games. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal has said that he will address the problems faced by underdeveloped countries like Nepal and challenges faced by them because of climate change during the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Speaking during a program organized in the capital, Dahal also stated that he will address the progress made by the country in terms of peace process. Likewise, he said that health, education, industry based on agriculture, among other issues, will be prioritized during his China visit. Saying that the government is responsible to create a favorable environment for youth to remain in the country, the Prime Minister pledged to formulate favorable sustainable development target, report by the Planning Commission, National Youth Policy and Plans and Programs. He said that knowledge, skills, eligibility, potential and experience of youth must be utilized for nation building. An individual has gone missing after drowning while bathing in the Mahakali River in Dodara Chandani municipality, ward number 4 of Kanchanpur. A 17-year-old Neeraj Pujara of Dodara Chandani, ward number 2, had gone missing after drowning in the river yesterday. Kanchanpur police have said that a team of police from the area police office have been deployed for his search and to conduct the required investigations. Now, following the increase in number of dengue patients, Fidim municipality of Pastar has begun a campaign to kill mosquitoes. The campaign has begun from headquarters Fidim market area. Now, according to the municipality, the campaign will be held in all wards with high risk of dengue. The municipality deployed municipal police to spray insecticides and ensure sanitation while also involving the public participation. The team of municipal police and elected public representatives are spraying insecticides in places including Fidim, Chakrakhambe, Sanibare, Bus Park area, Ahal Gairi and Jorsal. A total of 183 patients with dengue have been reported in Fidim municipality. It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
The question is, why has the public been deprived of easy access to free medicines provisioned by the government? Your options are A. Procedural hassles, B. Lack of budget, and C. Lack of awareness. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. It is now time for the international news. A plane crash in Brazil's northern Amazon state on Saturday has left 14 dead, the state's governor has said. The accident took place in the Barcelos province, some 400 kilometers from the state capital, Manaus. Amazonas Governor Wilson Lima said the plane had come down in Barcelos in the northern part of Brazil. The Manaus Aerotaxi airline issued a statement confirming that there had been an accident and that it was investigating but offering no details about deaths or injuries. Local media reported that the small Embraer PT-SOG aircraft, a twin-engine turboprop, took off from Manaus, which is the biggest city in the Amazon. It was attempting to land in Barcelos during heavy rain when it actually crashed. Now, according to reports, those on board were Brazilian tourists on a fishing trip. Some Brazilian media outlets reported that U.S. citizens were among those killed. Now, Reuters was unable to confirm those reports. Local television network Globo News broadcast visuals of the aircraft lying on a muddy road with the front part covered by foliage. And Brazil's Air Force dispatched a team from Manaus to gather data and secure any evidence that could be used to investigate the circumstances of the crash. Now, Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso, three Western African Sahel nations ruled by military juntas, signed a security pact yesterday, promising to come to the aid of each other in case of any rebellion or external aggression. The three countries are struggling to contain Islamic insurgents linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State and have also seen their relations with neighbors and international partners strained because of the coups. The latest coup in Niger drove a further wedge between the three and countries of the regional bloc, the Economic Community of Western African States, which is threatened to use force to restore constitutional rule in the country. Mali and Burkina Faso have vowed to come to Niger's aid if it is attacked. It said the other states will assist individually or collectively, including with the use of armed forces. All three states were members of the France-supported G5 Sahel Alliance joint force with Chad and Mauritania, which was actually launched in 2017 to tackle Islamic groups in the region. Mali has since left the dormant organization after a military coup, while ousted Niger's president Mohamed Bazoum said in May last year that the force is now dead following Mali's departure. Now, relations between France and the three states have soured since the coup as well. Now, thousands of Nigerians descended upon the country's French military base yesterday, the third such protest in as many weeks after French President Emmanuel Macron said the ambassador they'd been calling to leave was being held hostage. The demonstrations began 2 weeks ago when tens of thousands of protesters gathered outside the base to demand its troops as well as the French ambassador leave the country. Hundreds have remained ever since, vowing to occupy the base's front entrance until their demands are met. French President Emmanuel Macron said on Friday that France's ambassador in Niger is being held hostage at the French embassy by the military junta, which seized power in July. Niger's military leaders ordered the ambassador's expulsion late last month, but Paris rejected it, saying it still regards democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum, currently held prisoner, as the country's sole legitimate leader. The summit of the Group of 77, G77 and China concluded in Havana, Cuba yesterday, adopting a declaration that reaffirms strengthening unity and solidarity in the current international situation. The declaration reaffirms the commitment to strengthen the unity and solidarity of the group in order to achieve its objectives and reinforce its role in the current international context. Expressing deep concern to the challenges faced by the developing countries, it calls on all countries to coordinate and cooperate actively for achieving the sustainable development goals. It stresses the urgent need for a comprehensive reform of the international financial architecture, calling for a more inclusive and coordinated approach to global financial governance. It rejects unilateral sanctions imposed against developing countries, technological monopolies, and other unfair practices that hinder the technological development of developing countries. It calls upon the international community to foster an open, fair, inclusive and non-discriminatory environment for scientific and technological development. It reiterates that all states and stakeholders should devote themselves collectively to the pursuit of global development and win-win cooperation for scientific and technological development on the basis of extensive consultations, joint contributions and shared benefits, which can bring huge gains to all countries and all parts of the world in building a community of shared future for humankind. Supporters of Iran's protest movement rallied in front of the White House and marched through Washington, D.C. yesterday to commemorate 1 year since a young woman, Mahsa Amini, died in police custody, sparking political unrest in the country. Hundreds chanted slogans denouncing the Iranian government and calling on the administration of U.S. President Joe Biden to increase sanctions on Iran. British actress and activist Nazanin Boniadi called for bipartisan cooperation, saying that U.S. Republicans and Democrats should unite in order to help the Iranian people overthrow the regime. Iran's rulers have intensified a clampdown on dissent 1 year since Amini's death in police custody. Protesters began soon after the September 16 death of the 22-year-old Kurdish Iranian woman who had been arrested by morality police 3 days earlier for allegedly violating Iran's mandatory Islamic dress code. In Iran, security forces cracked down on protests in Kurdish areas of the country and briefly detained the father of Mahsa Amini yesterday. And now, before we wrap up, here's a look into the top stories one more time. Nepal Medical Association announces nationwide protest. All health services except emergency service halted in government and private health institutions today. Prime Minister Dahal embarks for the US visit to take part in the UN General Assembly. Premier Dahal to inform the international community about the progress made by Nepal regarding peace process. A plane crash in Brazil's northern Amazon state leaves 14 dead. Investigation into the crash underway. No details about the survivors yet. And defending champions Sri Lanka take on India in the Asia Cup final today. The match to kick off at 3:15 p.m. Nepal time at the R. Premadasa Stadium in Colombo. That is all for the moment. Our next English bulletin airs at 6 p.m. Thank you for staying with us. Have a beautiful day ahead.